Good evening. It's 7 p.m., July 25th, 2024. We'd like to convene our open session of the Sandwich Select Board. Begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Up. Oh my goodness, I didn't think you'd be here. Okay. Is anyone here for public comment? Yes, ma'am. State your name and address, and you'll have 5 minutes.
Green light on your microphone in the middle. Press the button.
All right.
There you go.
All right, hi again. I'd like to read some small portions from an email that I sent to just a few of you guys last week. I'd like to take a moment to publicly express my sincere appreciation for the new signage placed at the Cotuit Road crosswalks and for the tree clearing that has begun along the road. I see these steps toward much needed improvement, and I'm enthusiastic about the attention this area is now getting. I'd like to take a time out and thank especially Mr. Tilton for his reply to me and for listening, and Mr. Ellis for your comments after the meeting last time about let's get this done. Moving forward, I truly hope that further improvements will be considered and then eventually implemented, including piano key crosswalks in certain areas of town. I'm not sure you can fully comprehend this if you don't live on that stretch of road, but things have devolved fairly rapidly here, and I've been there 12 years at this point, and change is a must on that stretch now. That area of town is no longer the sleepy dirt road from years past that so many have told me about, and is now a thriving business district, and it requires the attention that any such area deserves. I've also researched this issue online, spoken to several who work in other towns, and I continue to be saddened that we are not a more pedestrian-friendly town. We're an active town that is spread out very geographically. Many of our residents don't drive and must walk, bike, skateboard, or scooter to a destination. In addition to this, our population balloons during the summer months, and our visitors want to walk and enjoy our attractions. In many locations, including Cotuit Road, you could be risking a lot to do so, however. There's a collaborative campaign called Vision Zero Network. The network's mission states that they want to help communities reach their goal of Vision Zero, eliminating all traffic fatalities and severe injuries while increasing safe, healthy, equitable mobility for all. They have a robust website filled with planning suggestions, a resource library, webinars, and funding suggestions. I would love for all of the powers that be in our town to take a moment to investigate the site visionzeronetwork.org and consider how we could maybe implement some of these fantastic suggestions found on their page. We could be a pioneer locally, and our town could eventually be a model for others, instead of us falling behind. When I moved to Sandwich 23 years ago, I noted two things. It was extremely dark on our roads at night, and that we were not a particularly walkable town. Understanding that Rome wasn't built in a day, I'm not going to become the town advocate for streetlights just yet, but I will continue to pursue my hopes that we address all of these pedestrian issues. We are good right now, but I'd really like to see us be great. Thank you again for the projects that have begun and for your understanding the gravity of this issue. I hope that this is just the beginning of getting the ball rolling and that Town Neck is up next. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else for public comment?
Candy Thompson, 30 Kensington Drive. I too would like to thank DPW Director Paul Tilton for taking to heart the request from the Canterbury Estates residents to improve the 3 crosswalks on Cotuit Road. Cutting back brush to enhance sight lines, upgrading pedestrian crossing signs, adding a street light, and updating the master plan are all positive steps. And thanks too to the Sandwich Police Department for stepping up enforcement on both Cotuit and Quaker Meeting House. We see you and appreciate you. But make no mistake, this update is incomplete without high visibility markings in those 3 locations. A survey last week of all 15 Cape towns shows that 12 towns employ high-visibility crosswalks on local streets, in areas around schools, and in commercial districts. 3 towns cling to the standard low-visibility markings. One of those 3 is Sandwich. The other 2 towns are less than half our size in population. Ask yourselves, what do 12 other Cape towns know that Sandwich does not? What are the so-called challenges of using high-visibility crosswalks that other towns have overcome? Why does a one-size-fits-all uniformity trump safety? I refuse to believe that their officials are any smarter than ours. Residents of Canterbury Estates hope the DPW and engineering review of crosswalk options comes to the conclusion that's the same as the other dozen Cape towns. And we hope that once employed on Cotuit Road, high-visibility crosswalks will be in our public safety toolbox for other busy neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else for public comment?
Good evening, Tom Stanton, 9 Morgan Trail. I'd like to thank the Select Board for having Town Council in a couple of weeks ago. Her presentation was very helpful. But if I could, I would like to give you my opinion from the other side of the fence. I'll be as quick as I can, and I'll run through this. 2014, April, application for a certificate of appropriateness. 67 Grove Street, map 37 lot 6, owner Heritage Plantation of Sandwich. And it was for construction of 2 yurts, elements of an aerial adventure exhibit. That was approved and a building permit was given for it. We appealed the building permit. It ended up in Superior Court. Judge Moriarty annulled the building permit, but he stated, like counsel said, oh, come on, I just got here.
You just got here. Yeah, you're fine. It's a B.
Put
You're
it
fine.
at 10, you'll be fine. So Judge Moriarty annulled the building permit, but he did address the 1443, which was the application for the certificate. And he said, no one appealed this. Everybody had time to appeal it, and they didn't appeal it. So that stands as is. So he also said that 1443, he said, is on the wrong lot. So he annulled the building permit. So here's 1443. It's a good COA, and it's sitting there. So in 2019, Historic District Commission, application for a certificate of appropriateness. There's 3 of them in 2019. They were all for 0 Shoreham Road, 0 Pocasset Road, map 37, lot 1 and 2. And the first one was for relocation of several elements of the challenge course to be further away from Shoreham Road. The second one, same address, same map, same lot, same owner, Heritage Plantation of Sandwich. Demolition of existing 30-foot yurt and deck and replacement with a new 24-foot yurt and smaller deck. And the third COA that night was an application for a certificate of demolition removal. And it was for 0 Shoreham Road, 0 Pocasset Road, same map, same lot, same owner. And that was for remove existing 30-foot yurt and replace with a 24-foot yurt, removing existing deck and construct separate decks for each yurt. These 3 were because of the setback, and town council addressed this. There's a 100-foot setback, and there were 16 elements, structures, yurts that had to be 100 feet back from the street. So that took care of it, but you need a building permit. So this was the building permit. It was issued to Heritage Plantation of Sandwich to construct 2 yurts, platform, aerial adventure course. construction of associated parking and sidewalks to include parcels known as 0 Pocasset Road and 0 Shoreham Road. And the work is to be performed on parcels known as 0 Pocasset Road and 0 Shoreham Road. So, in these 3 COAs, there was nothing mentioned about building an aerial adventure park. So, the customer, the applicant, didn't address that, but somehow it's in the building permit. But you know what? I didn't appeal this. So I learned from town council, if I don't appeal in the proper amount of time, then I have nothing to say. So I can't really speak to this. But we still need a COA for the aerial adventure park. The only COAs we have now are for the yurts and moving the structures back. The only other COA we have is 1443. So what are we going to do with 1443? And how do we get the aerial adventure park a COA? Well, I said that the judge said you had proper time to appeal this COA. And he wasn't just talking to us, he was talking to you. You had the right to appeal this. You weren't the applicant, the Heritage Museum was. So if you don't appeal in the proper amount of time, the COA stays as is, and it's locked in. So let's go back now to what council said. Council said 2 weeks ago that she addressed this issue, the town addressed this issue, and she said, quote, "The 2014 COA was modified in 2019. Who is the only committee in town that modifies a COA? The Historic District. I was at the meeting in 2019, and all that was discussed was moving the yurts and the elements. There was nothing discussed for a modification of 1443. And how can you modify something that you didn't appeal? So now we got a problem here. So you're trying to get a COA for the adventure park. You're saying that it was modified. I would like a copy of it. I would like to know when it was advertised. I would like to know when it was discussed. I would like to know the vote. And I'd like a copy in my hand. Because if you don't have that, you don't have a COA for the aerial adventure park. And I've been talking about this for a long time. So, I'm tired. I'm tired. I just want some closure on this. So, I'd like to propose, Mr. Chairman, that I can call Town Hall and set up a meeting with Mr. Brides, Mr. Vataco, if he wants to be there, and Mr. Dunham, and Mr. DePercio and I will come down, and we'll sit there, and you can give us a copy of 1443 revised. If you don't have it, just tell us the truth. We don't have it. What did you use? Did you use the original, which is for map 37, lot 6? If that's what it is, that's what it is. All I want to know is the truth, so I can get some closure on this, so we can put this to bed. And then you can do what you want with it. I'll come back and tell you what the finding was. Either there's a COA for it or there isn't. If there isn't, how did you build on that lot too? So, do you think that would be appropriate? Do you think you could, Mr. Dunham isn't here, but can I call the town and set up a 10-minute conversation? I just want to get this done, but I have to know what happened here.
Mr. Stanton, your 5 minutes is up.
Okay.
You do what you feel that you have to do.
So I can get in
You
and...
do what you feel that you have to do, Mr. Stanton.
Fine. Thank you.
Anybody else for public comment?
Know how you guys hate all my documents, so I'll put them up like this. If I can. You all see them? Bring this guy over here. Don't start the clock yet. Don't start the clock. All right. In the zoning board meeting,
Mr. DePercio, name and address, please.
11 Morgan Trail, DePercio.
Thank you.
In the zoning board meeting, the building commissioner said the whole course is a structure, and it's engineered to be a complete structure. And that was in response to Mr. Neeb and the chairman asking him for a definition so they could proceed with the hearing. Mr. Neeben said, Chairman, I'm going to say the course is a structure. And all the members of the zoning board agreed, the course is a structure. Then we go to the judge. The judge ruled the entire structure is considered as a singular structure made up of multiple platforms. And I remember a nice phone call I got from one member here, I won't say who it is, that said, Carlo, one thing you got to know, when the judge makes a ruling, we all have to stick to it. And I promised we would. Now, why did the building commissioner reject my request for an enforcement of the law that says that structure has to be less than 500 square feet? He said to me, I do not believe the court made a determination, this is his letter I'm reading from, as to what a structure may or may not be. That's what the court said. That's what the judge said. That's a determination. So my mystery is, why didn't the town lawyer appeal? Why didn't she appeal and protect that zoning law? Why do we already spent $150,000 the first time around. We've already spent another 20. Why do we have to put in 20,000 out of whack to protect the zoning bylaws of Sandwich? Isn't that the job of the town council? Isn't that the job of the building commissioner? I'll tell you one other thing. Why hasn't the commissioner demanded a valid license to operate up there? This is nuts. It's crazy. I got from the Freedom of Information, I got the license. It's MA 662 for 67 Grove Street only. And the site plan they produced where it says under penalty of perjury was a site plan, and on that site plan they said 67 Grove Street. That's insane, and it's dishonest. It's not on 67 Grove Street, and everybody knows that. After 10 years, there's a reason for that. Heritage, you win. Town of Sandwich, the attorney, zoning board, you together have defeated us. We haven't got a chance of winning. We do not have a chance of winning this, even though all these intelligent guys are right. We're not here time after time because we're wrong. We know we're right. And I'll tell you a quick story. Rosie Ruiz was declared the winner of the 1980 marathon in Boston. 8 days later, it was discovered she didn't run the entire race. She took a trolley car for a great deal of the race. But she lived the rest of her life in disgrace for doing that, because she broke the rules and regulations in a big way. These are not small things Tom and I are talking about. Don't join that club. Don't live in disgrace because you supported something that was absolutely wrong. Please, I'm asking you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DePercio. Anybody else for public comment? Review and approval of minutes, July 11th, 2024.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes of 7/11/24.
Second.
Motion by Mr. George, second by Mr. Miller. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? It's unanimous. Town manager report.
So very quickly, while Mr. Dunham is away, I have a few updates for you. First of all, the 2025 state budget is on the governor's desk. It is yet to be signed, but we did get a conference committee recommended update, which shows additional positive revenue to the town. It looks like we'll see about $80,000 in an increase, with both an uptick in revenues and a reduction in assessments. And that will bring your current budget balance to just over $200,000 for 2025. So each time around, it looks a little brighter. So hopefully that's what we'll see passed when the governor signs the budget. A major accomplishment for the 111 project. As you recall, Bud announced last week that the bid opening, they're on the street, the bid opening for that is expected by mid-August. But we also received the water quality permit this week from DEP, so that's really important for the dredging, major dredging in Scusset. In terms of the board, I don't know if you saw earlier this evening, there's the Cape Cod Commission's One Cape Summit is September 18 and 19. It really is a worthwhile, it's a 2-day conference. One day is a great exercise to just get connected with the rest of the Cape and what's going on all types of issues. If you're interested in attending, you can either sign up yourself or let anyone in our office and we'll register for you. It will be down Cape, I think at Witchmere Harbor this year. We've been continuing to work with the opioid working group. If you recall, we had a very successful community forum back in May. We have a small team that's been looking at how do we fill the information gaps in terms of who we heard from. We are now working with the school department and many other schools to hold a focus group. This will not be a public group, it will be a focus group. And the invitees include representatives from Sandwich Public Schools, Sturgis, Riverview, Upper Cape Regional Vocational School, and includes employees, students, parents, coaches, a pretty broad-based group that will talk about the impact of opioid addiction on school resources and what their needs are. So that was a gap that we saw. We also felt we needed to hear more from the medical community, so we'll have a medical focus group. These will both be happening in the second half of August with physicians, nurses, and social workers to hear a little bit more from them about what the needs are from their perspective. And then 2 other pieces. 2 members of our team will be meeting personally with active users to find out from them what their needs are. And then when we're sort of done with this whole process, we definitely plan to have a kind of a final run through with those that are in active recovery to see how have we done, have we got it right. So there's quite a process that will be continuing in the next couple of months. And then just today, for any of you who may have seen, we had 2 5-vehicle responses to this building. I think one was several vehicles, the second was less. The smoke alarm went off today. It didn't work properly. There was, and the head had to be replaced. So up till about 6 o'clock tonight, I wasn't sure whether we were having this meeting, but we had great response from the public safety folks, and Brian Schlegel right away had Cape Cod alarm in here, and that alarm was replaced. So if anyone heard anything about large numbers of vehicles responding to this building, there was no smoke. That's it for me.
Thank you. Thank you. Correspondence, statements, announcements, future items, follow-up. Anybody? Okay, I just have a couple of quick ones then, if you don't mind. And in further tribute to the memory of Sandwich Middle High School student Colby Lippincott, a memorial wiffle ball tournament will be hosted at the Sandwich Middle High School by the National Junior Honor Society on Saturday, August 10th at 9 a.m. Contact for team registration to be made by August 3rd is seen on the Sandwich High School Blue Knights Sandwich Middle High School website, or contact may be made to Ms. Nancy Horwood at nhorwood@sandwich.k12.ma.us. The fee of $25 per team will be used to create a memorial and supplement the scholarship fund. Bikeways and pedestrians met on July 15th. Further discussion related to proposed connection of the Cape Cod Canal Path to the service road shared use path, which is currently under construction, crosswalk, bike racks, as well as general traffic speed concerns. Progress. Next meeting is Monday, August 19th, 6:30 p.m. at Sandwich High School. And finally, Sandwich Public Schools, the Forestdale Playground was dedicated with a monument to the legacy of John Nelson, who had served as Director of Facilities. And that's all I have. Next, staff meeting. If I can flip to it. In accordance with Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 138, the Sandwich Select Board will hold a public hearing on Thursday, July 25th, 2024, at 7:05 p.m. in Sandwich Town Hall Auditorium, located at 130 Main Street, Sandwich, Massachusetts, to consider the application for a transfer of an entertainment license and annual on-premises all alcohol liquor license from Uncle Dave's Barbecue and Bar, LLC, doing business as Uncle Dave's Barbecue and Bar, located at 315 Catuit Road, Sandwich, Mass. 02563, David Varney as manager. 2, Marshland 6A, Inc., doing business as Marshland 2, Martin Finch as manager. Anyone wishing to be heard on the subject will be afforded an opportunity at that time.
Make a motion, we open the public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Mr. George, second by Mr. Miller. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous. The public hearing is open.
Mr. Chairman, while they're coming up, I just can report that all of the departments, regulatory departments, police department have reviewed the application. There are no concerns. There is the same note on there that the building commissioner made the last time, which is there's an apartment on the second floor of this building, and there ought to be some coordination regarding the entertainment license.
Thank you for those anticipatory comments.
Charlie, I have one question for you.
Yes.
We're doing a transfer, but there's also, are we also doing we're doing both Okay, so it's not just a transfer, it's also a
It's entertainment also. yeah.
Yes.
Both. Yep, entertainment license and annual all alcohol.
Yes.
Yep.
Excuse me. Good evening, Attorney James Dillon, representing Marshland 6A Inc. and Philippe Silva, 3 Holly Ridge Drive in Sandwich. I'm at 18 School Street, Sandwich, and Philippe is one of the owners of Marshland 6A. As you know, I was in front of you a few years ago when Marshland 2 was sold by Marty Finch and Kim Babiaz to Uncle Dave's Barbecue and Bar. Unfortunately, that didn't make it. It was owner financed, so instead of suing on the note, they just decided to take back the restaurant. They approached Philippe, who owns Marshland 6A, with 2 other people, and asked if he wanted to take it over, and he enthusiastically said yes. This is also owner financed, and which is one of the reasons why Marty Finch will be the manager, because he has some skin in the game and wants to make sure that everything gets off to a good start. And he is tip certified and has run alcohol establishments with restaurants before. The plan is, hopefully by the end of the year, Philippe has some people who will be training as manager so that they can take over. Marty is trying to be retired, but is not able to fully do that yet. So that's the plan. So that is why we're seeking to have the liquor license and the entertainment license transferred over to Marshland 6A Inc.
is this the same exact license that we
Yes,
issued before?
yes,
Nothing's
yeah.
changed?
Nothing. Yeah. And the hours will be, he opens for breakfast at 7. Some people have expressed interest in, having a Bloody Mary or some other type drink, and he plans on closing at 11. For the most part, at dinner time after that, it's kind of an older crowd. So, it's not a young hangout. So he doesn't anticipate any problems, just like at 6A. People like to have a couple of drinks or a glass of wine with their meal.
So this will be used in the actual old bar, which is now the bar, it's still there?
Yes,
There's a restaurant and then there's the bar,
yes.
all one piece.
It's all one piece. They are basically 2 different rooms, but he is going to be installing doors to be able to close it off.
Any other questions from the board?
I have one. In the packet, did you see the entertainment guidelines? You aware of those? Hours and whatnot?
Philippe filled out that entertainment aspect of it. I didn't, so I'm not sure if he reviewed those.
Okay, you can get a copy of those. We had discussed this the last time with Uncle Dave's Barbecue, in reference to the apartment upstairs. Just try to, please the people upstairs and work with them. And we set some guidelines and some hours and whatnot. You can get a copy of this if
We will, that's fine.
We
Philippe,
already discussed with people living upstairs. It's the same people. So I asked them if okay, we can still have the entertainment. I'm not extend for over 11 p.m. because it's gonna bother them, of course, because I'm sure they have to wake up in the morning to work. And I asked them if okay, they'd say yes because it's still the same people. And I think the first time when Dave asking for this, he's asking for the letter they wrote down and sent to you guys. But if you guys need, I can have them write the letter again and provide to you guys for sure. Because I already talked to them first before John did.
we can give them a copy of this. Right?
Oh, sure. So you're okay with a 10 p.m. cutoff and 6 p.m. on Sundays?
Yes.
That's the only question I had.
Any questions from the public? Okay. I have a motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion, we close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Mr. George, second by Mr. Miller. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous.
Okay. Make a motion, we transfer an entertainment license and all alcohol liquor license from Uncle Dave's Barbecue and Bar LLC, DBA Uncle Dave's Barbecue and Bar located at 315 Katuitt Road, Sandwich, Mass. 02563. David Varney as manager to Marshland 6A, DBA Marshland 2, Martin Finch as manager.
Second.
Motion by Mr. George, second by Mr. Miller. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? 5-0. Passes. Best wishes for success.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Heather, just a note on that one. We might want to, I was showing Pat this, it's kind of funny, but we might want to update the application because it still says cassette-operated TV. I don't know if anybody still even has a cassette.
Do you note that it's a Hobbs and Warren form?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Move on, please, to Department of Public Works Director, Town Engineer Paul Tilton, Traffic, Bikeway, and Pedestrian Planning and Related Issues. Good evening, Mr. Tilton.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Chair, Select Board, and thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. Tonight I'm going to give you an update of some of our infrastructure projects throughout town. We have a lot going on out there. We also have a lot of projects in the queue as well. We're sort of in catch-up mode. I've always been in catch-up mode. I don't need to remind you that my paving budget from the operating budget in highway 20 years ago when I started was $68,000. 2 years ago it was $68,000. Fortunately, we got the additional $650,000 2 years ago to help us sort of, hopefully in the future, get out of catch-up mode. And the plan is next year to try to get more money into that fund as well. We've certainly had some road bonds and Chapter 90 state funding as well, but it's never enough to truly be able to properly maintain our pavement management system. So that said, we certainly appreciate the public's patience as we work our way through some of these projects, and I do appreciate the comments that I heard tonight as well. The first project that I want to talk about is our shared youth path, and I broke it down into 3 phases. The first phase is what's going on right now on the service road, and that work is substantially complete, and the remaining work out there is to complete the Round Hill Road parking lot, so to be grading and paving that. We also have to take care of the top course on the shared youth path. Hopefully that'll be done in 2 weeks. The interchange connections, which includes the crosswalks, the signal beacons at both of the interchanges at Quaker and Chase, that can't be done in the summer because MassDOT does not allow work at the interchanges in the summer. So hopefully that'll be completed early September. There's also some landscaping that needs to be completed. Most of it probably done this fall, some next spring as well. At some point, probably this fall, we'll walk out to the site with MassDOT and Lawrence Lynch to go over a punch list. Hopefully the project will be wrapped up next year. Can't guarantee that because we're not the ones overseeing it. It's a MassDOT project, but hopefully it'll be done by next spring. The second phase of the shared youth path, it includes the interchange, which is interchange 59, formerly exit 2, and that's under the jurisdiction of the state. It's a state road. The state is overseeing that design. It's always a complicated design when you have to work your way through an interchange, so the state has taken that on for design and construction. The third phase of the project, which is what we're working on right now, includes the connection from Shawm Road, where MassDOT leaves off, through the village, down to the Cape Cod Canal Path. And fortunately, we just received a grant from Department of Conservation and Recreation, the Mass Trails Program grant for $237,000. They've been very generous to the town over the years. So this is going to help us get to pre-25% design for that Phase 3 section of the shared youth path. We've been working directly with the Bikeways and Pedestrian Committee, and Charlie's been at a lot of those meetings. and they've been very helpful with the design and also the public relations engagement. We've got some really good input from the public through workshops and surveys as well, so it's been very helpful. The next area I want to focus on, and it was discussed a little bit early tonight by the public, is what we call the triangle area, which includes the corridors of Quaker Meeting House Road, Katuitt Road, and Route 130. And a few years ago, we performed a transportation study in that area, and it looked at a number of areas, the main one being Quaker Meeting House Road at Route 130, which is the intersection project currently underway. And that's substantially complete to date. The work includes so far drainage and road and sidewalk work, pavement courses, 2 pavement courses so far, and signal loops. The remaining work out there includes signal equipment installation, the top course of the paving, pavement marking, sign installation, and landscape work, which will probably be done this fall, next spring as well. The majority of this work will be completed prior to the school, so we don't disrupt the school traffic when that starts up in September. The other intersection we're looking at in this area is Quaker Meeting House Road at Katuitt Road, and we just recently met with our consultant to look at a preliminary design for that intersection, future 100% design as well. So we're moving on with that study. And the third section we're looking at as well, which has been a major topic recently, is the Katuitt Road corridor. And we're looking at road safety improvements out there. And it certainly is a unique road in Sandwich in terms of the volume of traffic, which is 10,000 vehicles per day. The number of curb cuts, which is about 45 curb cuts on a small stretch of road, and the speed out there as well, which can range 30 to 40 miles per hour, sometimes even higher. Recently, we've installed new crosswalk signage. You've probably seen that out there at 3 locations: Regent Gate, Piccadilly, and Rectangular Way. We pruned the vegetation to improve the sight lines for motorists and pedestrians as well. We have put in a request for a new streetlight at Rectangular Way. That location does not have a streetlight. The other 2 do. This one does not. Our consultant is updating the previous study for the crosswalks out there, and we hope to get that back soon. With that, we're reviewing the options for the crosswalk markings, the high visibility crossings. We're taking a look at where that's appropriate throughout town. I need to note that any change in the location of the crosswalks, moving the crosswalks, which we're actually considering, would trigger ADA compliance, which means we have to look at ramps and detectable panels as well. We're also looking at some of the drainage issues out there. If we do install the ADA ramps, we want to make sure that we don't have any drainage and pool puddling out there near the ramps. So with that said, that the signs and crosswalks alone won't solve the problem. We understand that. There's been studies that show motorists that drive over 35 miles per hour, when you change the crosswalks from a standard to, say, the ladder crosswalks, it doesn't result in more motors yielding pedestrians. So there has to be something to supplement signs in the crosswalks. And in that regard, we've been working with the police. I know they're doing their part as well to try to reduce speeds out there. But we're going to start a public safety campaign in an effort to reduce speeds out there, to alert the motorists the need to slow down and obey the laws and speed limits, not only at Katuitt, but throughout town as well. One other thing we just did, it was kind of a interesting work request that we got, was to take a look at Boulder Brook and the speed out there. What had happened was there was a resident out there that confronted a motorist who was traveling 40 miles per hour. They asked the motorist, "Why are you going so fast?" And they said, "Well, my navigation app says it's 40 miles per hour." And so we kind of did a study of some other roads in town that showed on some of these posted speed limit signs, or the prima facie signs that are 25 or 30, Google had them listed at 40 miles per hour on the app. So some people do pay attention to that. We reached out to Google, put in a request for them to change that. We haven't heard back that, but whether they do that or not, I don't know, but we're looking into that as well. Just kind of an interesting thing related to the speed issues throughout town. Some other safety projects we're working on. Again, we're working closely with the Bikeway and Pedestrian Committee on other measures throughout town. We're looking at upgrading ADA ramps throughout the town. We've installed the vulnerable user road signs, which is the 4-foot clearance sign for motorists to pass, pedestrians, bicyclists in work zones. They have to be separated by 4 feet of these vulnerable users. We're also looking at installing new bike racks, additional bike racks throughout town. Based upon comments from a previous select board meeting, we're also taking a look at Town Neck Road and potential safety improvements out there and a crosswalk as well. We do have a summer intern this year that's taken sign inventory, something we've always wanted to do. So we're going to have a database of all our signs. We're going to take a look to make sure we're in compliance with national standards for all of our signs. And just a couple road project updates. We've crack sealed a number of roads throughout town. We have the public lots remaining, which we expect to do in September. And we also have 6 chip seal projects we will complete early September as well. So that's kind of an overview of some of the projects we've been working on for the last few months.
Paul, I know we don't have control of the pathways on the service road, but the grass is like knee-deep all along there. The weeds. Yeah.
No grass.
Are they responsible for cutting it, or are we?
Yeah, so the subcontractor for Lynch, McNamara, is a landscape company. They're responsible for maintaining that right now. And they just removed some of the weeds. They're leaving the grass, though, because the intention there is that the grass will reseed and have better coverage. And it's only supposed to be mowed a couple times per year once we take over. We want that grass to sort of take over that area. But in the meantime, McNamara is taking care of the weeds out there. And it's helped the erosion problem. You know, when we finally got something growing out there, it's really helped the erosion.
So I don't think when they sprayed the seed on it was weed seed, was it? So
No.
all those weeds have come up by themselves,
Yeah.
and they want to keep them?
No, they want to keep the grass. If the weeds that grow tall, they're pulling them out right now. Those shouldn't remain. And they're going to make an effort to keep the grass out there, so the grass will take over eventually. That normally happens when you seed. Unfortunately, some of the loam got washed away during the erosion. And during our punch list item, we intend to go out there and try to find the bare spots and let them know where they have to hydroseed again with grass.
And along the lines of the crosswalks, just driving around because it's become such an issue, we have spots where there are just lines on the road, like at Beale Avenue and Main Street and some other places. There are no, it's just the lines on the road. What is that about? Is that just the way we did it, or are there supposed to be signs there?
Yeah, there should be signs at those locations, and our inventory of the signage being taken this year by our intern is going to help us identify where we're missing signs, where we don't have signs in compliance, and we'll start knocking those off one by one to make sure we are in compliance.
Right, just dialing back to the landscaping. Sure, it's the primary contractor's responsibility and their subcontractor as well, right? And if they don't accept the work, the job can't close, is my understanding.
Correct. Mass DOT would have to approve that. We'd be part of that review as well. And after it's approved, there's a 1-year period where the contractor is responsible for maintaining that.
Terrific, thank you. Yes?
Yeah, and just scientifically, Paul's right. The grasses that we have in this area are cool season grasses. They're not vital in July and August. But the broadleaf weeds that come up shade the grass plants and allow them to withstand the summer and that early fall kick. So we shouldn't, it's not going to be a fine golf course lawn, the length of the service road. It's meant to be the rough, and it'll probably be cut perhaps as high as 6 inches twice a year. So they've done I inspected that job today. They've done it. And with this season that we've had, particularly Cape Cod dry summer. They've done a really good job to green that area. So I compliment them on that. And Mass Highway's very strict about things like this, where they'll make us sign off on a couple of mowings into it, so we shouldn't worry about that.
Thank you. Bob?
Paul, we've had a discussion before, and we've talked about the color of the crosswalks. I've been to Plymouth, other towns, Plymouth's green, some other towns are blue. They stand right out, you can see them. We've got the old white. Any plans on changing our colors to like solid green or blue so you can see them?
Yeah, the only place we have the color is the brick crosswalks in the village. We thought that had a nice historic look to it. We don't have any plans to put paint inside the crosswalk. Can be slippery. The maintenance of those, you're generally going to have the wheel paths running over that, so it doesn't look that great. And I just personal preference, I think, from our standpoint, we like the simplicity of the standard crosswalks. Doesn't mean we won't do the ladder crosswalks, but in terms of like putting paint inside those crosswalks, I guess we prefer not to do that. And if we can provide other safety measures that would enhance that, we prefer to do that.
And the old white, it's hard to see. You know, if you go to Plymouth or any other town, I've seen them, and the blue, the green, almost blind you. They stand right out. You can't miss them.
Falmouth does the same thing. If you drive through Falmouth, there's all different types. But I guess my question is there a state requirement for sidewalks that everybody's supposed to use, or?
So there's national standards. The Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices. Mass DOT has design standards as well, and there's ADA compliance standards. But basically, the MUTC is the Bible of traffic control. It deals with signage, markings. So that's generally our policy. We use that for the policy. There is some options for markings. The standard has always been the double perpendicular line, but there are some options as well. There's a ladder, there's a diagonal crosswalk also. So anytime we look at a location, we refer right to that manual. It specifically states where you should have crosswalks, why, the distance of the signs, the type of crosswalk, the width of the pavement markings as well. Very specific as to what we should be putting out there.
If you look out at the one here, it's pressed like blocks, and it's a real dull red color. You hardly can even see it. We have any plans to do anything with those? I mean,
the brick crosswalks?
Yeah, you can't even see them. They're kind of like a light red color. They don't even show up.
Yeah, those are supposed to fade and maintain the red, but there's a little bit of stone showing them, so it's losing its color a little bit. We do stripe and repaint the lines each and every year. If the crosswalks get to the point where there's a lot of cracks in them, we probably would replace them. So you grind that out and you put the material in there and stamp it down again. There are a few that might need it pretty soon, but you know, in terms of retaining that color, I think the material that they're using today is better than what we used, I don't know, 10, probably 15 years ago when we installed those. So I think the next round will have better material and last longer.
Can you kind of research the different colors we talked about and maybe get back to us and see what you can come up with? These crosswalks are visible right now. They're really not visible.
Yeah, we're going to look at the high visibility crosswalks, so the different stripes inside, and we're going to find out, you know, where is that appropriate. I don't think it's appropriate throughout town. Location like Katuitt, being a high-speed, high-volume road with a lot of businesses and residential on the other side, probably appropriate to look at the high visibility crosswalks there. Most likely the latter type. We're also considering the RRFBs, which is the rectangular rapid flashing beacons, which is what you see down at Quaker Meeting House Road. The one location where we're really focusing on for those is at Regent's Gate, because people coming off of Route 130, turning into it, there's a curve there. Can't really see that crosswalk. So it might make sense to put one there. There's a lot of traffic going to the convenience store there as well. We're going to take a look at the other locations for those also. Those run from $60,000, $70,000. Pretty expensive, but it might be needed out there, because based upon personal experience, I was out there with Sam Jensen. We had our vest on. The new signs are up. We were waiting across the street, just looking at the crosswalks out there, and numerous cars went by us without stopping. It took like 3 or 4 cars. So the crosswalks and signage alone probably won't do it. Enforcement, help from the police department is gonna be needed also.
Somebody mentioned Falmouth earlier, and I know they've got some high-speed areas too. And the ladder style crosswalk seems to work in that area, and we're looking at that, right?
Correct, yeah. The studies show that it is more visible from a certain distance. But as I mentioned earlier, when you get to a certain speed, it doesn't matter whether you can see it or not. So it's important that we slow the speeds down out there as well.
Indeed. Thank you. Anybody else? Thank you, Mr. Tilton.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
And I should add that I see all this as progress, and thank you for that as well. Okay. Old business, other matters not reasonably anticipated by the chair. I have none. Okay. New business. Proclamation. The Cape and Islands Suicide Prevention Coalition asked to raise awareness and support during Suicide Prevention and Action Month in September. They sent through a proclamation. Has anybody had an opportunity to look at it? No, I could read that into the record and we could discuss it as necessary. Cape and Islands Suicide Prevention Coalition. National Suicide Prevention and Action Month Proclamation. Whereas, with September recognized as Suicide Prevention and Action Month, the Cape and Islands Suicide Prevention Coalition invites our communities, mental health advocates, prevention organizations, survivors, and allies to join us in helping to destigmatize mental health through initiative-taking action towards suicide prevention. We seek to raise awareness and visibility of suicide prevention resources in our communities and help connect individuals with the appropriate support services such as 988. Whereas, according to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, suicide is the second leading cause of death among individuals between the ages of 10 and 34, with more than 49,476 people dying by suicide annually in the United States. And whereas, with an average of 132 suicide deaths daily, and each one directly impacting 125 additional people, including friends, service members, family, social media connections, and neighbors, we know a sizable number of individuals have been impacted by suicide. Whereas Barnstable County's suicide rate is 1.5 times higher, standing at 14.4 per 100,000 versus the state of Massachusetts' suicide rate of 9.4 per 100,000. We recognize the need to create hope through action locally. Whereas our local Cape and Islands Suicide Prevention Coalition works hard to spread the word about prevention, awareness, education, and action through training, forums, and events in our region. Whereas the town of Sandwich commits to being an active prevention partner with the Cape and Islands Suicide Prevention Coalition and publicly places its full support behind those who work in the field of suicide prevention and research, mental health, community health, education, and law enforcement who deal with this daily. Whereas we encourage all residents to take time to understand mental health and suicide through education and recognize that we need to take care of our mental health while we take care of each other. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Charles M. Holden, Chair of the Town of Sandwich Select Board, do hereby proclaim the month of September 2024 as National Suicide Prevention and Action Month in the town of Sandwich. Any comments?
Second that?
Well, you have to make the motion.
Yeah. I make a motion, we adopt the proclamation as presented.
Second.
Motion by Mr. George, second by Mr. Miller. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous. Thank you very much. Now, authorization to appoint Director of Community Development. Any comments, Ms. Harper?
I can make a few comments for you. You have in your packet a beautiful letter that the town manager worked on with our human resource director about the position, the recruitment process, and the recommended candidate. And I won't go into a lot of detail there, but I do want to make a few comments for the public's benefit and for the board. Many years ago, the town manager and this board established the long-term staffing needs for the community. With your help, we made amazing strides at this last May with the 2025 budget. One of the positions we created was the Director of Community Development, which has been long-standing need of the community, and that will oversee the Department of Natural Resources, the Health Department, Planning and Economic Development, and the Building Department. These departments are all critical to the long-term health and resilience of Sandwich and provide direct constituent services daily. We've seen the growth of our department programs, as you know, with the addition of the Director of Operations for Community Services, and we really feel strongly that the addition of this position will have the same benefit for those departments. I want to talk a little bit about the candidate. Every once in a while, an organization attracts someone really committed to the town of Sandwich with a service orientation and with what I would say a higher than the ordinary level of emotional intelligence that is necessary for strong leaders. Sandwich has been very fortunate to attract similar wonderful staff, and as you know, we focus on fit and future of the town. In her current role, Leanne Drake has demonstrated tremendous interpersonal and problem-solving skills that will make her a strong manager for the town. She is also an astute regulatory planner who understands our zoning, land use, building, and conservation regulations, and how they should work together to accomplish the town goals for the long term. Bud's letter is included in your packet, the details of Ms. Drake's accomplishments and qualifications, and it is my pleasure to put forth for your authorization the town manager's recommended candidate for Director of Community Development, Leanne Drake.
Leanne's worked for us for a while, correct?
Yes, she's been with us for many years.
For the town's benefit, people watching.
Yes, yes.
Okay, you have a motion to appoint Ms. Drake.
Yep. Okay, make a motion, we appoint Lene Drake as Director of Community Development.
Second.
Motion by Mr. George, second by Mr. Miller. Any comments on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous. Congratulations, Leanne Drake.
Hey.
See you around.
Yeah.
Okay, donations approval for the fourth quarter of 2024. All right, we've got $49,000 worth, $49,571.36. Coming in through the Council on Aging, $200, caregiver donations Through the Fire Department, $750, fire donations. Through the Fire Department, $1,350, CPR training donations. Through the Parks Department, tree planting donations of $140. Through the Parks Department, $1,050, Landscape Advisory Council. The Council on Aging, $2,670.04, Council on Aging donations. The Council on Aging, $720 bus trip donations. Council on Aging, $2,500 Memory Cafe donations. The Library, $1,750 library donations. Through the Library, $301.23 lost book donations. Recreation, $21,100 recreation scholarship donations. Historic, $100 Historic Commission donations. Library, $570.09 Sugar library donations. Through the Police Department, $1,260 community policing donations. Through the Select Board, $15,110 in boardwalk donations for a total of $49,571.36.
The boardwalk donations, the boards?
Yes.
We sold?
Okay. Motion to accept the donations?
Make a motion to accept the donations as presented.
Second.
Motion by Mr. George, second by Mr. Miller. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Never turned down a donation.
Appointments. Sandwich Historical Commission submits Joanne Richardson to be a member from July 25th, 2024 through June 30th, 2027. We have a letter in our package from Richard Clater, the chair of the commission, in support of this recommendation. Any further discussion?
Both together?
Not really, thank you.
Okay. Make a motion, we appoint Joanne Richardson, the Sandwich Historical Commission member from 7/25/24 to 6/30/27.
Second.
Motion by Mr. George, second by Mr. Miller. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. Visitors Service Board, Heidi Trottier, to be a member from July 25th, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. We have a letter from Ms. Trottier expressing interest to exchange roles with the Sandwich Chamber onto the SB. Any discussion?
I think Heidi's been on this committee for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Been there. Yep.
And we have a confidence in her ability to bring activity into Sandwich.
Okay.
That's for the board? We're good?
Yeah.
Okay. Please.
Make a motion, we appoint Heidi Trottier, a board member to the Visitor Service Board from 7/25/24 to 6/30/25.
Second.
Motion by Mr. George, second by Mr. Miller. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous. Other matters not reasonably anticipated by the chair? I have none. Anybody here for public comment?
Okay.
Okay. Closing remarks. If I may, let us please continue to maintain those under attack in Eastern Europe, the conflict in the Middle East, and the overall threats to our world peace in our thoughts and prayers. I hear a motion to close.
Make a motion, we close the meeting.
Second.
Motion by Mr. George, second by Mr. Miller. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous. Our next meeting is Thursday, August 8th, 2024, at 7 PM here in Historic Town Hall. Good night to all.
Could you sign the donation sheet? I don't know that you need to, but in case. No, I don't think so. I was looking at him going, I tried to read his shirt. Hi.